Regarding CBDC, the central bank digital currency, it's being talked a lot about in the media, but most people don't pay attention to it. The idea is going back to the same way we had in Romania under communism with rationing, I guess.
No, it's not going to connect to control the supply of stuff.
But like how much you can buy of the stuff.
It's attempting to control the supply of money.
So from
that's the worst case scenario. Yes.
What the British are saying, and this was like from the British central bank, like they were saying that they want the government to be able to limit how much you buy. So like, for example, if you're fighting for climate change and you buy
too much meat.
Too much meat, then when you buy extra, either you can get an error or they can tax you more. If you try to buy like 100 kilometers away from your house, you get an error. So they will have like all this ability to control how people spend their money.
Yes, that is the most horrifying version of it.
Isn't it in China? Like already
no, not really. I mean, as much as I enjoy crapping on the CCP and on the general regime in the People's Republic of China, we have to also separate propaganda from reality a little bit. Yes, there are restrictions on the freedom of movement. Yes, there are restrictions on certain purchases sometime. But at the same time, they're very easy to work around. Let's not forget, China has 3 currencies, not one. Only the digital yuan is subjected to such...
digital yuan. And,
so there's the digital yuan, there's the external yuan, and the internal yuan, also called the renminbi. Renminbi is basically cash like everyone else, right? And the vast majority of the transactions of regular people are done in renminbi with cash.
Yeah, but the danger is that, for example...
I'm not saying there isn't the danger.
In Australia, they're saying that the banks are the government is withdrawing cash from the market. The banks are withdrawing ATMs and they're stopping transactions with cash. You have in London, I went to London, they wouldn't take cash from me at the London Zoo. They wouldn't take cash from me at the London Eye, London Dungeon.
Well, it's your fault for going to the United Kingdom.
No, but like that's the problem is, like as you're saying, it's my fault for going, but what if the United Kingdom comes here is the question.
Yeah, that's also true. Now, again, back to reality, there are a few limitations to this, no matter how much the totalitarian-minded among us may think. So, for instance, we've had CBDC in Romania since 2002. Do you know that?
No.
We have the legislative framework for that was written in 1998, promulgated in 1999, and being in force uninterruptedly for over 20 years.
I assume the banks are using it?
No, regular people. What you know as bono de masă is CBDC.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that is a good point.
They are programmable currency only to be used on buying certain items but not others.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, like it's called lunch tickets.
Yeah.
And basically when you went to work, and I got them as well, 10 or 20% of your income was lunch tickets.
CBDCs.
Yeah. So the lunch ticket was like not digital. It was like...
Now it's digital.
It's digital?
Yes.
Okay, so you got like a piece of paper which had a fixed value, kind of like a coupon when you go to a store. And you had to purchase goods of that amount. Like you wouldn't get any money or anything in exchange. So like if you had like $20 worth of Romanian CBDC and you purchase goods of 18, then you wouldn't get like $2 in return.
Yes.
Right. And you could only buy food with it, and you could only buy...
certain liquids. I mean, you could buy water, but not sugar drinks.
Not sugary drinks, not alcohol.
Not cigarettes.
Not tobacco, yeah.
Of course, in practice, they're routinely defrauded. I mean, just find me some of those coupons, and I'll bring you a pile of cigarettes in exchange for them.
Yeah, I mean, there are people that, for example, at the corner of the street would sell you cigarettes, and then they use the coupons to,
So there was and still is easy workarounds. Nowadays, they've gotten digitalized. And they're even more sophisticated than they were in 2002. So, for instance, nowadays some corporations offer to their employees cultural CBDCs. They don't call it cultural CBDCs; they call it cultural vouchers. but it's basically a separate card with which you can only buy books, CDs, cinema tickets, and a few other.
Yeah, I think my wife actually had the ticket de vacanza.
Yeah, well, those are also CBDC.
Basically, summer holiday tickets, right? So you use them in order to travel in Romania. You can go to a hotel. You can use the hotel's amenities with that,
and of course, some hotels take it, some others. The hotel I'm staying in Iași for this short trip doesn't take them. I make a point every time I go to only book to places that preferably don't even take card payments. The cash-only places are my places to go. But then again, even there, I mean, nowadays it's also beneficial for the establishment to such an extent that they now have the nerve, for instance, to require that you and I pay extra money because we travel abroad, and deprive the local tourism industry of their deserved shekels.
The problem isn't that they exist in parallel with cash. The problem would be a cashless society where you don't have cash and you only have like these tickets and...
Yes, but it's always the case that if you try to abolish cash, there is such thing called barter, right?
This is what I was saying on my channel, that we had this during communism when you also had like rationing for stuff. So like people would buy everything they could with their money, even if they didn't need it.
Yes, and then trade it for something else.
And then you had fetch quests. Like you go to a mechanic and the mechanic goes like, yeah, we can fix your car, but this component that can only be found in Italy, but I happen to have one, and I'll give it to you if you give me some vodka, because my daughter gets 18 and she needs to celebrate. Now, you don't have vodka because you're a chronic drinker, but your neighbor has vodka, so you give your neighbor some sugar that you don't use, but his wife cooks. And the neighbor gives you the vodka, and you give the vodka to the mechanic, and the mechanic also gives you an extra spare. And these fetch quests, yeah. But like, do you see it being implemented? Do you see a cashless society in the future?
Depends on what future. I mean, nobody has a crystal globe. And I mean,
the push is to that, right?
Of course. But the intensity of the push varies quite a lot. And the push is not unidirectional. I mean, in the United Kingdom, for instance, over the last 3 years, the amount of cash in the economy has actually grown significantly.
I saw, yeah.
So, there is a pushback as well. And of course, the end result always relies on how much pushback there is, and also how much resources the pushers have, because the pushers don't have unlimited resources. The rise in the interest rates lately, for instance, have affected quite a lot the social engineers du jour, because most of them were running on free money and were relying on low interest rates. And lo and behold, it's a lot more difficult to create BS tools and online crap when the interest rates are 7% as opposed to when they are 0.5 or 0 or straight up negative in the case of Europe. So, it's always in a flux. It's too many moving parts. That's why I try my best to avoid making long-term predictions, and I don't take seriously the people who make too many long-term predictions. We can definitely make relatively accurate, educated guesses for the next 5 years. But after 5 years, there'll be dragons. After 10 years, there'll be all of the dragons, and it's just ridiculous to try to make predictions after 2035 or something.